and fuck ups that were there, but nobody cared then, and I didn't care listening. And then I realized
different in the jam
the band
than what you normally get. Trey veered from what he normally played, which
I love this song, and I love hearing it in this incarnation of it, this version of it.
Welcome back to WOOK Plus. I'm Weekend WOOK, joined once again by Kevin T. We got a fun show to discuss tonight, 10:30 Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. This is the night before they played the Little Feat album, the cover album. Second year back after the big break, the big hiatus. Fun fall tour. Would you either of you guys catch any shows that tour?
Yeah.
Did they play Merriweather?
I don't remember. I caught him in Charleston a couple of days earlier, or like a week earlier, and those were a pair of fire shows too.
Yeah, I caught him in Chicago, and then Berkeley, and then somewhere else. But yeah, and actually the Chicago show was the first time they played Show of Life, which I caught like 2 of the first 4 shows of Life, because then they also played it in Berkeley, which was like, because Chicago was the end of the summer tour, and then Berkeley was like the beginning of kind of the fall tour. So
this was a period where they overplayed that in a couple of songs.
Yeah.
Everything off of Joy.
Yeah.
But Show of Life at that point, I was still digging. I was vibing on it.
I never don't like this song, to be honest with you, depending on the placement, because sometimes it's in a good spot for a slowdown song, and I don't know. I don't mind it, honestly. And I thought it was kind of, this early, but to your point, man, 2010, 2011, it got a workout.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely got taken out a bunch.
It got a workout. Yeah.
Yeah, Jess, that cross-eyed is a monster, but we're not here to talk about that night.
One thing we forget is most bands, when they go out, they have 10 songs they play every night, and there might be 1 or 2 wild cards in a set. So, Trey was very happy with himself. He cleaned himself up. He put out a banger album, he felt like. And was that an Ezrine album, Joy? Was that Bob Ezrine?
I think so.
And then Big Boat was.
Yeah. Well, and so let's get into it, because they start off the show with one of those classic Joy songs that they were playing in super heavy rotation. Actually opening a bunch of shows with Kill Devil Falls that tour and the year before. But holy shit, dude. I just pulled up how many times they played it in 09 and 10, and it's like you have to scroll the page for a couple minutes between 09 and 10. But by this point, though, right, because this is like probably 40, 50 versions in, it is refined. It is locked in. It is high energy. Like, is it my favorite song? No, but I think there was the same way when we were listening to the early 90s shows and they were working through those songs and you could hear how much better they got. You could tell that they've really brought this song in at this point and made it super comfortable. I thought it was an awesome upbeat way to start.
Yeah, it was a ripper too. Like, it kind of rocked into it. Like, it was fun, and it was like, I think from the drop of the hat in this show, the energy level, both in the crowd and from the band, it was just one of those nights. Like, they were having fun, a lot of fun, obviously, by the Zeppelin teases that kind of permeated throughout the show, which, they're having fun when they're doing fests, like the Tweezer Fest and like crazy shit throughout the show. And this was one of those nights. And to get a Zeppelin one, I mean, that was extra like juicy, kind of like that tease that, we're not playing tomorrow night, but you're going to get a little bit of fun tonight type thing, So
yeah, it's kind of like a modern version of the Dark Star, like not quite to that level, but like giving a little extra something. What?
Did you just say it's the modern version of the Dark Star?
Not Dark Star, Dark Side.
Oh,
like like Utah, like where they like
yeah.
They got voted for. They weren't going to play it on Halloween. I know.
This was a weird little run. This was a weird little run, only being 3 shows instead of 4, because normally it's 4, right, for the Halloween runs.
Sometimes, but they did Festival 8 in 09, and that was only 3 nights too.
But yeah, I don't think it was weird at this point. I think it would be weird now, but at this point, I don't think it was that weird.
And at Festival 8, they did do that one extra set with the acoustic afternoon.
Right. Donuts and coffee or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The 8 donuts, but they didn't do. It wasn't 4 nights. It was only 3.
How were the donuts?
I didn't go. I didn't make it that early. I was asleep. I was up late the night before. Dude, I don't know. I'm really impressed with people that made it to that. And like there was one of those moments where you're up at 5 a.m. as the sun's coming up doing blow, and you're like, "Do we just stay up all night and wait and just go, or like what do we do?" And you're trying just to make it through, and then you don't quite make it through. And
you go to the acoustic set, you don't see the rest of the show.
Right, exactly, yeah, because it's like, or you're stuck there all day, and then you end up like right before they come on. You're like, "Dude, we got to go home. Like, I can't do this. I can't be out here anymore." So yeah.
Yes, Kill Devil Falls is a fantastic opener, but Cavern would have been an even better opener. And in the number 2 slot, I feel like that's when hey, everything's off the table. We're just going to be having fun tonight.
It was a big version of it too. It was at that nice open groove.
Crowd really went nuts at the beginning of it too, like big crowd noises in this show. Which
the energy in that hall was just through the roof. And I think that's maybe the way it was mixed too, right? Like it's not just a tape, it's like they're feeding in and mixing the crowd noises, so it's like really prevalent. But I've heard everyone that's seen this, that we're talking about this one tonight, has commented like, "Oh, that was a fire night, the energy in the room," and I think that radiates through the recording. The foam, this is the only spot, and I'm gonna be like, I don't even want to say, because everything else this night I just fucking adore, but like, well,
everything,
not everything, I take that back, but so the phone was a little slop, it was a little off, it was a little wonky, and I mean, it was a bold choice, and I think it was cool to like go there and try to hit it when you have all this other shit going on, but it ended up being not necessary with the amount of shit they packed into the show, and it was a little bit off, and I'm just here pretending like I can judge them.
I began to get shades of Hampton 98. Cavern, then Foam, there's a Gula, there's a Ha Ha Ha, there's all these songs from that, and that's what I was re-listening to it. That's what I began thinking. I was like, "Oh, Foam," but you're right. It was not practiced.
It was like an afterthought almost. Yeah, a little rough.
It fit perfectly there. It just didn't quite come off properly right there, but it was a good fit. Like it was a fun song coming out of Cavern to hit right there, which, again, to Kev's point, it's kind of off the table. Anything's kind of on, and that one again, like it fits. Those 2 songs kind of fit together. I wish they did more. Like the ending of one, kind of like to pick up in the other one, is perfect. Like it just goes, and you're like, all right, sweet. So I thought that was cool, but yes, it was not the greatest version of it, but still fun. I mean,
What'd you think of the Gula?
They nailed it.
Yeah.
That was the exact opposite. Like, well, not exact opposite, but it absolutely hit it and played it perfectly, I thought.
Yeah, dead on.
Why did that one disappear? Because it's difficult, I'm sure, to play, but you never hear us say they totally screwed it up the one time a year or 2 times a year they do it. Why doesn't it get more play? It seems like it's a strong contender for every 4th, 5th show.
I think that's strictly depth and breadth of catalog type of thing, right? Like, I love it, and I wish we got more
everything's
of it.
Right. Everything writes every 4th, 5th show. Soul Planet.
I was just looking, honestly, I was like, I didn't even realize that it was not in high rotation, but that's because I caught the last 6 of them. Like, I just happened to be at the shows that they play them, so I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's the dance. I don't know, but
maybe I need to go to more shows with you.
Exactly.
Exactly. Maybe I need to go to more shows. Get them out there. Okay, so the first highlight, I think, of a night of many highlights is this Whole Lot of Chalk Dust. Oh boy, was this fun. Holy shit. Like, the Chalk Dust alone starts off ripping, and I'm like, all right, I'm digging it. This is pretty fucking good. And then as soon as he hits the riff, and I guess like we knew going into it that this was the Zeppelin night, but I honestly missed the Whole Lot of Chalk Dust when I was like looked at it real quick. I saw the second set and the sound check. So when I was listening, I even got a little bit, in 2023 that like, ooh, where did you do there? And I thought it was a great way to introduce the theme of the night.
Well, I think what it was too was to me, after listening to the last 4 shows we've done that have all been kind of that 1.0 era, and kind of the songs that haven't quite been flushed out, but ripping rocking versions of them, like Chalk Dust that we've heard. This one sort of had that rip and rock and feel to it still, so it kind of felt like for a second I was like, what show? Oh yeah, like we're not in a 1.0 show, we're actually in a 2010 show. But it had that moment I was like, man, this kind of says a little bit of like a refinement to it, but a ripping kind of what we had heard in the ones that we've heard already too. So I thought that was kind of cool, because you don't always get it. Like, it feels so much more polished even when it rips these days. It's not this crazy machine.
Yeah, I have a theory about that, because I thought the exact same thing during the Bowie in the second set. I was like, oh, this is a 3.0 Bowie. Like, it had like a little energy to it. And my theory, and I have nothing to back this up, but my theory is that by playing all the Zeppelin in the sound check, those are songs that if you're like in like a high school, like even if you're not great, like in a cover band or a rock band or whatever, like a garage band, those are songs that you play pretty early on. Right, like and I feel like by playing a lot of these songs, like Whole Lot of Love's a song that you play a lot, right? And I feel like it made them feel young and like forget like, oh, we're not out here playing PHiSH.
Yeah, and not just in soundcheck though, throughout the show, because when you start integrating those songs into your songs, you're bringing this, this nostalgia feel, but also this rock jam into them, which can't help but like elevate.
It injects that Zeppelin energy into everything else,
exactly.
and makes them feel young and have fun.
When you're dropping a Whole Lot of Love through fucking a Chalk Dust, it's going to kind of bring that out a little bit more, right? And I think the Chalk Dust from the get-go though had that fucking extra gasoline on it tonight because of that. So just kind of like,
I'm giving the Whole Lot of Chalk Dust a 9 for novelty and a 5 for execution.
What? Really?
It was rough, man. It was.
You know how he feels about Jimmy Page. Now, would you rather have Trey or Jimmy Page playing?
It was. They knew they were going to do it. It was forced. It wasn't an organic thing, like say the what was that they did? Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Yeah, but sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's good for it to not be forced. So like when they did the Tweezer LA Woman at the Forum, like they butchered the shit out of it. Because sometimes I think like them knowing that they're gonna do it puts more pressure on them to get it right, or to like remember the lyrics, or to do it.
That's why we're execution 5, novelty
as opposed to like just doing it on the fly, where then nobody really cares. But still, it's the nostalgia, it's the fun, it's the fact that they did it and pulled that out that makes it,
I think Kev just hasn't had a bad take in a while, and he wanted to throw one in there.
No, if you want novelty 9, execution 9, I give you ha ha ha.
Okay. Now listen,
but for like a minute and a half, though. For like a minute and a half of perfection, is that what you're giving it? Yeah, okay.
I
nailed it.
Ha ha ha! Got it. That was the best placement of a ha 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 I've ever seen. It was the perfect choice. Absolutely killed it.
And to your point, after that, the walk away was perfect out of it. Like it, and again, these fucking this run of like the Chalk Dust, Whole Lot of Love, Chalk Dust, haha, walk away, ripping like just Kev rock nostalgia 9 across the board here. Like this whole set, like it's
that's how I describe the set for sure.
Yeah.
Walk away is fantastic.
The last couple of days, I've been walking around going, ba-na, ba-na, ha, 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 ha. Like, I just had it stuck in my head on loop. And my daughter today was like, Daddy, why do you keep singing that? And I was like, ha, ha, ha. I don't know. It's just been there.
I used to have a sticker that was the Honda logo, and it said, ha, ha, ha.
Honda.
Yeah, you put it on your Honda. I didn't have a Honda. I had a Toyota, and I put it on the Toyota, so...
We should add that into the merch store. By the way, if you want WOOK Plus merch, go to wookplus.com. There's a bunch of fun shit there.
Christmas is coming. Probably can get you there before Christmas if you order tonight.
I got a Christmas card from one of my friends, and his son in one of the pictures on the card is wearing his WOOK Plus beanie. I was like, the model right there. Cool. It's got to go up on the website. Kids of all ages can wear the beanies. Fits everyone.
That was super cool.
Too bad there's not a WOOK plus Santa hat.
Right?
Yeah,
The
they should
W on
be.
that thing would look great.
So this Wolfman's, how fucking cool is this? A vocal jam akin to the album that deconstructs into the segue and just kind of takes us out of in a good way. Not all right. I love the whole rocking start to the set, but I like that they take a break and they get into a little bit of touch and feel and spacey jam. And I thought that the Wolfman's was like a transition, and then the Undermine kind of took us out there a little bit.
It grounded. It grounded the set. Okay, we've thrown everything out there to you. We're going to do a Wolfman's. We're going to get experimental. We're going to do something neat with it, but we're going to give you a run of our songs and where we are at this moment. I think that this 3-song run is a good reflection of where they were in time in their career at that moment.
Yeah. I think one thing I always say is I wish there was more vocal jams in the songs for sure. I wish we could tack a vocal jam on every song. Oh, shoot me. But I think the thing is I will take a like deconstruction slowdown like this as opposed to putting in a slow song here, which we would get like today perhaps or something, or like a Mike song.
Shade.
Right, exactly, in this point. Or like Lonely Trip or something here that would like slow the set down. Anyway, this at least kind of had that element of different thing. Okay, what weird vocal jam, Wolfman's cool, and then this breakdown, and then going into Undermine out of that, like really kind of worked and flowed and was cool. And Undermine's one of those songs that's jammy enough to like not be. It's a fun slowdown song because it continues the set, right? It continues that flow going, and Wolfman's was a nice jam coming out of that.
Undermine was. It was what 2004, so it was still relatively new because they only played it a few times in 2004, and then they restarted it 5 years later. So it was still a freshie.
Well, let's put it this way: Kill Devil Falls got way more plays at this point than Undermine did. Way more. I mean, I think this was probably like the 15th Undermine, maybe.
And I bet if we did a data dive, it would continue to this day that Kill Devil Falls just crushes the number of
times. For sure.
This was the 10th. This was only the 10th Undermine. What was great about it, though, I feel like maybe playing so much Bonham or just because PHiSH is a monster and is always on, that he was just completely locked in. He was locked in the whole show, but it really showed off, I felt like, in the Undermine and had a lot of touch to his playing. And the groove that he sets up allowed the rest of the band to, kind of just have fun with this Type 1 jamming because he really set it up really well. Thanks, Jason.
Didn't that woman Cynthia Ruth say something about how great of a drummer Fishman was?
I don't know who you're talking about, but whoever she is.
She just put out an album and she covered a PHiSH tune.
Oh, okay. We'll have to talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Pretty decent.
Oh, really? Whoa, Chris. This comment from Chris. I did not. Is that true? Yeah, I mean, I guess it is if he's telling us that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. When was that album released in relation to when they stopped touring? It was close to the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was 2004, and what they toured in the summer.
Me? I'm not the producer. Who are you asking? Look it up. And let's talk about this gin. This serviceable, okay gin. Yeah, not anything that, like, what is the phrase you were saying? Write home about it. It's not a set, stand out, but it was still fun, still solid. And then Coil, fucking the first song of the night that kind of slowed it really down in a beautiful way. Absolutely beautiful. I love
great
Coil,
outro to the set. Great way to end the set. We gave you lots of stuff. We've had you, all the fun stuff. We gave you a nice piece of, even though the bathtub wasn't quite up to par, we gave you a nice piece of section of improvisation. Let's leave you with, a little page.
A lot of good stuff in that. I mean, overall, the Cavern, Foam, Go like our Chalk Dust, even like those are some great older tunes. And then the Wolfman's Underman Bathtub Gin Coil run at the end is great. And then you get this fantastic Zeppelin teases throughout it with like A Walk Away and A Whole Lot of Love in there. So fantastic set. really fun,
Very
like
good.
really fun, really high energy, like ripping, like it was really funny. Again, comparing this to the 1.0 shows that we've been listening to, this one really kind of kept up on that pace and that feel and that just sort of that energy and that fun and that sort of whatever of it, right? Like, because back then it was like, a lot of like this had a lot of songs in the set. A lot of those earlier shows had a lot of songs in the sets, and a lot of them were blistering paces and not really too jammed out. And this one didn't have too many jammed out songs, and like it was very comparable to what we've been listening to. So it was kind of a cool show to like follow up where we've been randomly picking it.
This is good.
We need to do a behind the music.
No, we don't. Yeah, what do you mean?
On Coventry, behind the music. Why did they release the album like everyone's saying right before Coventry, and they were breaking
because
up?
they had an album done, and then the timing of when they decided to call it quits. Let's stay focused, man. Jesus. All right, separate. Couple quick plugs. Tomorrow night is a very special Live, a very special episode. Don't miss it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. I'm very excited.
Santa Claus is stopping by.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep. Hey, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Also, if you're a member, you may have noticed that Mr. T threw up a song from Taper's Choice, an acoustic donor rap, right? Was it the donor rap?
From their last show at Scribble. So yeah.
And if you're not a member, join. It's like $2 a month, and there's all sorts of perks and really fun shit.
Is that Donner Rap?
Donner Rap? Donor Rap? And it's one of the only two that was a full rap of the year.
Oh, now, what exactly is that? No, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Jesus,
no, because I saw him and Llama talking about that, and I was like, "What the fuck are they?"
Tomorrow is going to be a great night for Kev. All his crazy
questions will be answered tomorrow night.
Will be answered tomorrow. Fucking Kev, Jesus Christ, Kev, take us off with this.
All right, Tube. I mean, great opener. I think anticipation was probably running high after that first set, and Tube's something that delivers right out the box. You're going to get, just a few minutes sometimes of a nice little funky jam, and good way to get everybody's toes wet.
Yeah, it was super short, but it got there. It just didn't
not
stay
jam.
there.
It did not jam. But again, keeping with sort of that 1.0 feeling, it was a quick version of it and kind of blistered pace and kind of got through it quickly, which is fine. And then it sets up a possum, which still feels like you're kind of in that 1.0 era of like a possum in the second spot coming, in the build up for that, which was fantastic. Like,
I'll be a little bit slower, I think. And this is where probably where it really felt like for the first time that we were in 3.0. Right, because the rest of it, I kept having these like weird things. Like I was like, "Oh, that kind of had that energy or whatever." And then this was like, it was great. It was a very solid very solid version. But it was just a little bit, almost like cleaner in a way, right? It lost the like, what do you call that? The roughness on the edge, but like that little extra energy, a little oomph to it. But kept things moving. And then we get into. Would you call this a Tweezer Fest? I think this is one of the Tweezer Fests, right? No,
I do, and I have questions for you about it.
Go ahead. Answers coming tonight.
Well, I mean, all right. Let me throw it out there. In between Heartbreaker and Ramble On, it says Tweezer. They do not go back into Tweezer. They play a vamp for a little bit that is neither song, and it just made me think of Guy Forget.
Well, they played enough. How long isn't that the part though where they come back into it with a full on like the Tweezer riff and the
no, that's in between Thank You and Stairway.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Tweezer between Heartbreaker and Ramble On is rippy, shreddy Trey solos, but I think the reason it qualifies as a Tweezer is because they have distinct key changes and tempo changes that are to written songs. So like what the key and tempo of Heartbreaker are, what the key signature and tempo of Ramble On are, and they weren't. What they played in the middle wasn't either of those.
Why isn't it just listed as jam then?
because it's in the middle of a long tweezer, and
But
it
it
makes
isn't
more
Tweezer
sense.
anymore. They've already played Heartbreaker. They
If
stopped
they
playing Tweezer.
if they didn't bring the tweezer riff back before Stairway, they probably would have just left it as part of Heartbreaker. But since it's like a club sandwich, since they closed the sandwich with an obvious tweezer riff, they threw the middle piece of bread in there. And
Right.
also to piss you off, mostly, I think.
Well, to give it that extra sauce on there, so you have it in there 3 times instead of just twice.
It's like a Big Mac.
Right.
And also, it was the same tempo and key, and generally the same structure as a tweezer, albeit for a very short transitional moment. But it was fucking cool. I dug it.
I think that the best out of this, my favorite part of this, was the ramble on into Thank You. I think they really nailed the transition between the two of them.
Yeah.
How good did Mike's bass sound in Ramble On too? He fucking nailed it, locked in. And then Paige,
where'd that one go?
Thank You.
That one needs. They did it at Alpine that one year in '97 or '98. That needs to come back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, their instruments on all of these covers were literally perfect. Their vocals, on the other hand, were pretty strained and not great. But honestly, who gives a fuck?
Well, Trey hadn't started eating his broccoli yet, or he probably would have nailed that.
All right. I have to run here in a minute. So, you guys want to continue on, or
you have to run?
Yeah, I just got a message. I apologize.
Are you coming back, or are you gone for good?
I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll see you. Try to come back.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's pick next week's show, and then you guys can wrap up. Sorry for doing this shit out.
Yeah, we got half the set still.
I know. I'm sorry, motherfucker.
That's what you get for fucking having kids.
Shut up. Pick a number, Kev.
3.
1. Oh, that was a great one. 2. 3.
Oh, I got a 2.0.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Vegas.
Right.
Awesome. All right, Kev. Go back into this head. I may or may not be back.
Make a note of what it is.
I love you guys.
Hey, well, we got it live. We'll just have to go back and watch.
Well, yeah.
All right. So Stairway was very neat. A neat way to end it. They picked the end part of it where the jam was, and so good for them. They well thought out sequence there.
Yeah, it was very shocking, right? Like it's kind of like one of those songs you don't ever expect them to play. It's almost like Dead Tunes or something, right? Like it's not really. It's kind of sacred ground, and at that time, I think they were still in that phase of like, oh, we're back. We can, let's cover shit and play shit. Like these days, I don't think you would ever get something like, you know what I mean? Because again, it's like singing hollow. Like you're not going to touch that. So for those people, like that was a cool moment to get that out of there, and that he actually played it and gave it a little bit of love in there. So very cool.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think maybe the strongest run of the set are the next 3 songs. The Haleys, short. The more I hear Haley's, man, just with the vocal over and over, beating it into your head sometimes. And I wish there was more meat on the end.
Yeah, it's it's funny. It's just not one of my favorite songs. It's one of those. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. The lyrics, I enjoy it because it's fun fish, like the lyrics or whatever. But the song, I don't know. It just doesn't hit it for me. Like I never am excited to hear it, and I never it's a little peace song for me. And like I'm just when I see it on, I almost skipped it on this because I was like, I don't. Out of Stairway, like it's not what I want to. You know what I mean? Like to me, I'd be like, well, at least I can take a piss now.
Well, they could have done the show of life there, but that's another story.
Yeah, or just go right into 2001.
Right now, the 2001 solid 10 minutes. They got the theme a couple times, found some nice spaces in it.
Cool jam, like I mean that's just the consistent. Whatever that song is, it always brings that. Like it even in 2010.
Yep, and then the Bowie, as Tim said earlier, really had some flashes of greatness in it from olden times.
It did. It was a highlight Bowie. Like I really it reminded me of a 1.0 Bowie type feeling, like that old Bowie, and like you don't hear it like this anymore.
No.
And so it was rare to hear it like this then. And, again, still early. So he had that sort of whatever to it. Great Bowie, a great version, great space, good. Out of that 2001 too, fun little like segue into it. That breakdown moving into it was cool. Like we've talked about that a few times with different songs on the after shows when they played. And I thought that was like really cool, like a really cool transition there. So that was fun.
Right. I believe that Trey said, Mike, I'll give you this dime bag, what's left in the dime bag, but you got to do the vocal part first. And 40 years later, it was the worst deal he ever made. All right, so Show of Life backwards down the number line. They Show of Life was getting you said this was the second one?
I believe this was the third one.
Okay. So you saw the one in Chicago, there was another one
in Chicago, and then the one in
this was one of for me Trey's first big moves toward the Tole rock. I think whatever book he was reading at the time, if we knew what that book was, I bet the lyrics to Show of Life reflect whatever that philosophy was, where he was at that moment. It has a lot of what we find later in, Set Your Soul Freeze and, Everything Right and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's the seventh version of it now that I'm looking at it. Toyota Park, Chicago was the first.
Wow.
And the Hearst, the Greek was the fourth. So I saw it 2 of the first 4 times. And then they played it.
It was every third night or something they were getting it?
Yeah. Once fall tour started, they played it on the 6th, the 17th, August 17th. And then they skipped it till October 16th, then the 26th, then the 30th on this run. And then the 1st, but then that was the next year. And then 2011, and like we said, it was played a lot. So
did it end up on an album? I don't think it is.
I don't think it is,
because that would have been in between Joy and
I'm surprised it hasn't. It's a very studio feeling song, honestly, and kind of like something that feels like them on a studio album. It's one of those songs I don't I don't hate it. It's cheesy, it's whatever, but it's one of those slow down songs that I don't know, I don't completely dislike. It's
right.
Whatever.
I just feel like I only have so many songs I'm going to get to see PHiSH live,
and that's not what you don't need to cram that one in there, right? I know, but it has. I don't think it's it's.
Okay, so it's on a Tab album. Okay, there's your answer.
It's only been played 33 times, so it's not like you're getting it that much. Although I will say, like, I just got it we got it at Dick's this year, and then
we did, and I got it at Hershey Park in 21,
and MSG New Year's last year. Hey, Santa's back! It's a Christmas miracle.
We're talking Show of Life, and then I guess I saw Show of Life with the Tab Goose tour. So you want to take it off with backwards down the number line, since we know you love that one?
I was driving with my wife going to a wedding the other day, and we were listening to this show, and I was like, I didn't know what the set list was, and I was like, man, all these 1.0 shows everybody's talking about, this is a great fucking show. And as soon as I said it, it went happy all my. I was like, oh, Trey, you had to 09, 010 this fucking show. It's fine. It's whatever. I don't love the song, and in particular, it's because of these 2
saved
years.
The band.
Why?
It gets a pass because it saved the band.
Why is it a birthday song?
Because Tom sent it to Trey as an email on his birthday. Every year they exchange songs, and Trey was in the throes of, or I guess he was in recovery. He was not in the throes of addiction at that point. And Trey was like, "Oh, I'm going to make this into a song," and we had PHiSH again.
Can I ask you guys a question? Did you give appropriate play to 2001 while I was gone? Did you guys talk about how fucking spectacular that jam was?
And why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, go ahead.
The beautiful interplay between Paige and Mike and Trey, while PHiSH just fucking railroad locked in, hitting it. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I think it set up the Bowie really well. That's all.
It did set up the Bowie really well, and we talked about the transition going into it was like really that was such a great.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite 2001s now. And it's not that it's like super long or super exploratory or space or anything, but the interplay and like the delicate like touch they have when they're playing is just so fucking nice to listen to. Yeah, it's
Solid 10
really
minutes.
fun.
Solid 10 minutes, though. I mean, you can't ask for more than that in this age for a 2001.
No.
Yeah.
So,
And so then
but
closing out the set with Good Times, Bad Times. Is there any other way to close out the set? I mean, that had to
No, and
be
I
it.
thought it worked good out of the number line. Like you want to like number line because it's a ripping song and the
I don't
lyrics are
want to
fun.
like number line.
It's
You want to what?
I
Like number
do
line.
because it's very PHiSH to me. Like it's a very PHiSH song. Like more so than like my hatred for Drift While You're Sleeping is not a PHiSH song. So like I don't mind hating that song, but Backwards Down the Number Line is like a PHiSH song. So it kind of irks me that I don't like it as much as I should because it's fun and joyous and jams the shit out of what it is usually, and that's what you want in PHiSH songs. So it just always puzzles me why it has this hatred. And to me, everybody can say the birthday song, and like it always feels like a pedophile song to me, like the way it's sung and like what he's talking about in it. So it always like I think that's what goes in my head. So I just have a total weird relationship with it anyway. So yeah, right.
The
Like
truth comes out.
no, it is like with my group of buddies, I'm always like, oh god, they're playing.
I feel like when Backwards Down the Number Line comes on, I feel like Pigpen, one stage in the Peanuts Christmas special.
Wow, we all have really complicated relationships with this. Oh, Pigpen, the peanut, right?
Yeah, the Peanuts.
And his dance moves that he does.
I was trying to draw a connection to the late Grateful Dead piano player, keyboardist. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But it's a fun song. So like leading into Good Times, Bad Times, I don't know. Like you're coming out of that ripping jam, and then they drop that, which perfectly wraps up the Zeppelin set anyway, and rips.
And at that point, everybody knew that they were not getting a Led Zeppelin album the next night,
right? With an explanation point.
Unless they actually, you know what? They didn't do anything off of Houses of the Holy or later, so it's quite possible they could have done a
which I think
graffiti.
is the album that everybody wanted.
Physical Graffiti or House of the Holy.
That would have been such an epic tease to play like random Zeppelin songs the night before and not anything off that out, and then play that on the next night. Like fuck yeah.
Well, I think they've proven that if they do ultimately cover a Zeppelin album, it's going to sound fantastic.
Right. I would rather hear Houses of the Holy, even though it's only a single album.
Yeah.
I think the songs are all strong and it would be a lot more focused.
Is Jason talking about the monkey reprise? Because I always love getting a monkey reprise. I feel like that's happened many times and it never disappoints. You know you've had a good show when you had a monkey reprise. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You got a monkey and then a monkey reprise. Oh, you had a good show. You definitely had a good show. Yeah, I've caught that a couple times. I feel like I don't know the stats, but I feel like that's a fairly common thing.
We got that really weird one at Merriweather one year. Remember it was Paige's favorite song. Trey was going on about how it was Paige's favorite song.
Yeah, we'll talk about the lottery tomorrow on Live, Jacob, but not a lot of people got it from what I can tell.
Yeah, we have a slogan for that.
All right, let's wrap this up. One thing I want to say is that this 2.0 show is the lowest ranked show we've had so far. So we might have our first fully negative WOOK club. I don't know.
Stinker. No, I'm excited for a 2.0.
A lot of jam charters though, and I think there's I think you're right, Kev. I think there's going to be something cool to from a historical standpoint.
The one time that I did not listen to them at all was in 2.0. I saw 3 shows in February 2003 and did not listen to anything else they did because I had a kid and I had moved on with everything else I was doing with my life. So it's going to be interesting for me to hear a year later when admittedly a lot of people say the band was falling apart as it was moving along.
I was about to make a wholly inappropriate joke that I think I'm going to refrain from, but maybe I'll let the members know. Anyway,
members only joke incoming.
Such a dick move. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that's it. I really appreciate you guys all coming, hanging out with us. This was a fantastic show we just listened to. If you're watching this after the fact, let us know in the comments what you thought about this 10/30/10 show. Make sure to join us tomorrow for a very special Badass Wook Plus Live. And then next Tuesday, we're going to be Thomas and Max Center, our first 2.0 show of the Wook Club. See you guys next time.
Vegas.
All right, later, guys.